Dungeons and Dragons and artificial intelligence, and we're talking about more than just the runaway robots in S3 Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. But before we get to that, of course, this video is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde Games makes the kind of adventures that they'd like to play, whether it's for 5th edition, OSR, or Castles and Crusades. Old school rules are in play at the table, and right now Hellebarde has a sale going on to clear out their 5th edition in-print stock, offering 50% off everything they have in print that's targeted for 5e. That's 2 locations and 10 supporting modules, from a swamp with lizard men to a caravan route filled with adventure. Come find what suits your campaigns and use coupon code 5EOOP to get 50% off, and you can find them on their website at hellebardegames.com or at DriveThruRPG. That's Hellebarde Games. So, the Daily Beast has an interesting article that came out a few days ago, and this is actually, this is actually kind of fascinating. And of course, I'll link to the article below. And this is Dungeons and Dragons. Could it prevent the AI apocalypse or kick it off? Let's take a gander at what they've got to say. Deep in some underground ruins below a drought-stricken village, 4 brave adventurers find themselves in grave danger. The dungeon belonged to the Order of the Pure, a potentially nefarious cult that might have had something to do with the droughts that have been wreaking havoc in the village of Havenshire. Despite the danger, the stakes were too high to turn back. After all, not only did the fate of the villagers depend on their success, but the town's mayor also promised a small fortune if they succeeded. Eventually, the heroes discovered a wooden chest under a slab of rock in one of the inner chambers of the dungeon. Inside was a glowing magical key that could open a door out of a room they were in. Wah, a massive tortoise-like humanoid and one of the party's sorcerers, I'm guessing this must be 5th edition, deftly used his magic to smash the chest to splinters, and the adventurers had the key in hands. As they slid the key into the lock and turned it to open the door, though, they were greeted by a single message. Too many requests in 1 hour. Try again later. Roadblock. Jack Dodge, co-founder and dungeon master for the Dungeons & Dragons livestream Please Don't Kill Us, told his players, unfortunately, we reached the maximum number of requests we can get from ChatGPT in 1 hour, meaning we can no longer go on right now. We're going to take a break. And there's a link to a video there. Since OpenAI's release of the chatbot in November, millions of users have flocked to ChatGPT to test out its limits. While many have used it to churn out academic essays, work emails, and lines of code, there have also been users who have tried to push it to do more creative things, writing novels, movie screenplays, and even religious sermons. So, with a massive surge in popularity of tabletop role-playing games in recent years, it was only a matter of time before people started using it for their D&D sessions as well, to varying degrees of critical successes and failures. The players of PDKU decided to use generative AI for nearly their entire gaming session while using ChatGPT to create the story, characters, and even puzzles for them to solve, while also leveraging DALL-E and Midjourney to create illustrations of their characters. We really used AI to the fullest extent, Dodge told the Daily Beast. I genuinely went in not knowing a single thing about what was going to happen. I don't think that's how most people would actually use AI in D&D, but we really wanted to push it to see how far it could really go. It was like the AI was a person that you're bouncing ideas off of to create a campaign or whatever. Carson McCauley, a co-founder of PDKU and the player who played Woe the Tortoise Sorcerer, told the Daily Beast. That's when it felt really awesome. Building an AI that can play games isn't new. The history of gaming bots can be traced back to 1957, when computer engineer Arthur L. Samuel wrote a program for a computer to play checkers. But the most well-known milestone might be from 1997, when IBM supercomputer Deep Blue defeated chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in a heated and much publicized chess match that people began to fully grapple with what it means to have a computer that's smarter than a human. So far, though, the only games that AI has been tasked with mastering have been ones like chess, Go, backgammon, and even diplomacy, zero-sum games where there are defined winners and losers. As complex as a game of chess might be, for example, it's actually fairly easy for a computer that can predict all of the algorithmic possibilities of each move and suss out how to achieve its one goal of winning. When it comes to a game like D&D, though, things get complicated as an intricately crafted dungeon. And so they kind of go on here. Instead of simply asking a bot some questions, they propose the Elf Ranger test, which involves seeing if the bot could play a game of D&D. The idea is that if an AD&D chatbot can play a collaborative game where the goal isn't necessarily to win, but to help build a story with players and have fun, it could get a lot closer to AGI. The robot would be able to empathize, strategize, and work with players. In that way, the bot would very nearly become its own person. There can be potential pitfalls of bots that are capable of emotion and cognition. Everyone from Elon Musk to Stephen Hawking have warned about what they say is an existential threat posed by AI. A 2021 meta-analysis by researchers at the University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia found that there were numerous risks associated with AGI. AGI removing itself from the control of human owners, managers, being given or developing unsafe goals, development of unsafe AGIs with poor ethics, morals, and values, inadequate management of AGI, and existential risk, the authors wrote. Put another way, if we were somehow able to build an AI that was truly capable of playing a game of D&D, we might end up creating our own kind of big bad evil guy, the likes of which no adventure or band of heroes on Earth have ever seen. Rise of the Robot Dungeon Master. After their first game was unexpectedly interrupted by too many requests, the players of PDKU attempted to continue on their brave adventure to save the village once ChatGPT resumed access. They quickly discovered that the chatbot would stumble in very basic but game-altering ways. It told me in the beginning of the campaign that you'll get to the bad guy. If you defeat them, then the drought will end and the town will live happily ever after. But when we were about to reach that point, it started to forget all of that. That's a huge issue for the DM, because then I'm juggling whether I stick with the AI, what the AI said at the beginning, or take over myself. This is an issue with ChatGPT and Bing's chatbot that users have encountered. If you talk to these bots for extended periods of time, they start to get very, very confused. Perhaps the most prominent example of this is when a tech reporter from the New York Times spoke to Bing's chatbot for 2 hours and eventually got it to say that it was in love with him. There have also been instances in which users claim they were able to unlock a more nefarious persona of the bot named Venom that would threaten to harm or kill them. However, a D&D play... skipped. The reality is, though, these chatbots aren't made for you to talk and engage with them for very long. After all, Bing's search engine is designed for users to ask it questions or plan travel itineraries, not discuss enormous existential and philosophical questions for hours on end. If you push a machine to do things it's not designed to do, it's going to do unexpected things back. However, a D&D playing bot could possibly do this, while also solving a few areas that Singler believes are the primary hurdles to AGI. First, there's the argument that AI needs to be able to easily switch between different roles. In roleplay as in different life, we perform a lot of different functions. A group's healer could also be a formidable fighter. The Dungeon Master needs to be able to juggle building a world for their players while filling it with memorable characters and a plot to keep the story going. Another argument is the AI needs to be able to engage socially, building relationships with the players. And it points out, the article goes on to say, ChatGPT is missing the factor of emotions. So much of our group are artists, so we play with a lot of emotions. That's just something, obviously, it can't sense. It can't sense that the players want a really deep moment, or maybe they need a moment of levity. It can't read that, and I don't think it will ever be able to. And the article goes on for a little bit more. I don't want to get caught up in reading the entire piece here, but I did find it kind of fascinating, and I thought it was humorous that the thing basically tapped out an hour into the game saying it doesn't, hey, I'm a service and too many people are accessing me. That's something you're never going to get with a good dungeon master. So what does all this mean in the grand scheme of things? Personally, I have to go with what Gary Gygax himself said about the name of computer role-playing games. He said, why call them a role-playing game? Who are you playing your role to? And if you're using an automated dungeon master, guys, I've seen the backside of artificial intelligence. If you ever played Zork, you're playing against a less advanced version of this same thing, a parser. It's just taking the context of what you're saying and trying to respond likewise in context. And a parser is an exceptionally cut down version of that. You could tell Zork, I love you, and it's probably going to say, I don't know what you're saying. Even the funnier parser bits, if you say that to some of the more advanced old Infocom games, they might have a funny response back, but it's never going to convince you that it loves you back, and it's never going to convince you that it's anything other than a machine. It's just input and response based on your input, and that's all. It doesn't have an original thought because it's not thinking. But of course, I want to know what you guys, real people, hopefully you're not robots, all think about AI dungeon masters. Would you use AI in your tabletop game, and for what purpose? So let me know down below in the comments, of course, and if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. We got a couple more videos coming today. And then tonight, of course, we're going to have a little bit of a live stream. We draw ever closer to me going to GaryCon. There'll be a lot of fun short videos. Plus, I'll probably shoot some footage enough to put together at least a couple of videos for the next time we're back in studio. But until then, guys, take care of each other and keep your laser handy. Peace.